and welcome to the TCAD 10-Minute Take. It is I, your host, Sheree L. Stewart, and with me, as always, is my intrepid co-host, Don the Legend Chambers.
Yes.
This is the 10-Minute Take, which is the short, condensed version of our longer TCAD podcast, where we talk about one thing, one movie, and one movie only. And today's movie is Us.
Us by Jordan Peele.
By Jordan Peele. But before we get into it, make sure you click that subscribe and click that bell so you can be notified of every 10-minute take as soon as it drops.
Boom.
Boom.
So do you want to go first or want me to go first?
You always go first. Don't F with the format.
But hey, listen, I'm being polite and asking.
No, you go first. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'll start you. We're going to try to keep this one as a hard 10, and we're not going to do any spoilers in this. It's going to come in
as a hard 10 for
because if we want to get into the more in-depth analysis of the movie in the normal TCAD podcast that'll drop later this week, but this is just our basic review. All right. And Don, as always, go.
And go. Okay. Us by Jordan Peele. With it's Lupita, is it Nyong'o?
Nyong'o, yeah.
Nyong'o and Winston Duke. All right, here it is, short and sweet. Go see it. Good movie. I mean, there's literally nothing more that anybody needs to tell you. It's a good movie. Go see. Now, unless you have an aversion to horror that runs so deep that you can't even be in a theater when a horror movie is playing. But if that's not your case, and even if you weren't necessarily a horror movie buff, trust me, you're going to want to go see this. It's smarter. It's just more well-made. It's funnier, and it's just good because it's original. Well-acted. Lupita Nyong'o, hands down, she carries this movie more so than anybody else. From obviously, we already know she's playing two characters, and she just, I mean, every scene she's in, whichever character she is, she just eats it up and spits it out, and you're like, damn, that's good. I mean, she's great. All the other actors are great. Winston Duke is like, he's sort of like America's next black dad now.
I know.
He's really cool. I mean, look, obviously we're not going to give any spoilers here. And there really isn't much for me to say, but it's a good movie. Go see it. If I'm going to rate this on our scale, it is obviously opening night. Obviously, there's no need for 3D or IMAX, but if you could only see it in an IMAX theater, absolutely. I would pay that extra because it's good. It is just a fun, good horror flick that was just really enjoyable. It's an original story that leaves a lot more questions than answers, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. And it, man, it was good. It was just good. That's all I gotta say. It's just good. Just go see it. Like 1 out of 10. I don't know if I can give it a 10. But
I'm curious about that. Go opening night.
I'll definitely give it a strong 9. A strong 9. And absolutely opening night. Get you a large tub of popcorn and a large drink, and then throw in some of them. Throw in some Skittles or something. You know, get you some candy. Trust me. All that money, well worth it. Well worth it. Go see it.
Okay.
That's that. I'm just telling you, go see it.
All right.
So good.
Okay, so let me say, obviously, I really enjoyed this movie. It was interesting because, you know, when it starts off really slow, and I was worried because I was like, oh no, am I going to be the only black person who doesn't like this movie? What am I going to do? Like, they're going to take my card away. They're going to take my card away. I'm not going to be able to come to the cookouts anymore. And that's it. I'm done. I'm totally done. But, the payoff is definitely worth it. The pacing at the beginning is very specific to give you an idea of what's going on. I have to say too, you know, I really appreciate the twist at the end. It's a twist, but it's not a surprise. Right. And that's what I appreciated, because it was like, it's in the trailer. It's not a surprise. Like, he very clearly wants you to know that this is what it is. It's just, it's more of a commentary, like a deeper commentary on the audience, because all of this whole entire movie is about not being seen, and what we like. He's very good at tapping into the specific fears and paranoias of Americans as a people. And I think that, you know, these movies, you know, it's so weird to sound, you know, super film schooly and scholarly about it, but I really think that these movies are going to stand the test of time as far as film scholarship and learning about film and talking about film and the evolution of film and what they have to say about American culture in the, you know, 21st century or whatever. And he's very good at tapping into very specific problems that we have and fears that we have and underlying paranoias that we have. And like we saw in Get Out, it was about the fears and paranoias that Black people have around white liberal ideas, and how, you know, there's a lot of implicit bias and racism that is not talked about and skirted over the surface by woke people, and like that just general mistrust of social situations like that. And this movie is not about race in that way. It's more about class and culture and what we choose to ignore. And so the twist is literally in the trailer. But it comes as a twist, and it comes as a surprise only because as an audience, we have chosen to ignore what's right in front of our face, like we do every day, which is the whole point of the movie. And I think that's, and you know, it's interesting too, because there's a lot of, I guess, I would say plot holes in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's a ton of them, but it doesn't matter. Right. And that's what's so cool about it, is because of the craftsmanship in the sausage, you don't care that it's made of hooves. And that's also part of, I feel like that's part of it. Like, that's part of the commentary of what this whole movie is about. It's like our society and our culture is made of hooves, but it's delicious, so we don't care.
That's a good cow hoof. That's a good cow hoof.
You know? So yeah, I say definitely go see this movie in the theater if you can, because, you know, a part of it is the audience experience. Yes. And seeing it with a group of people. So even if you can't go see it in the theater, you know, if you rent it from the Red Box or whatever, it would behoove you to have a group of people to watch it with who haven't maybe not seen it for the first time. It's just something about that theater. It's like Sorry to Bother You, where it doesn't have the same impact when you're not with a group of people who are experiencing it together. I saw Sorry to Bother You in a packed theater, and it was amazing. The audience for that. And I actually saw this. I saw a Sunday matinee, and it was packed. Like, it was full. It was full house. And just horror movies in general, like really finely crafted horror movies, are a communal experience. And I think this movie is definitely that. It's so, you know, I listened to some interviews with him, and it was very smart about, you know, building on our collective appreciation for horror movies that have come before. Like, he made the cast like sit down and watch Jaws and The Shining, and not so they could replicate those movies, but just so they would have a shared language and the sensibilities of where this movie was going to go. And I think that was really smart, because that's part of our American collective consciousness of movies. And I don't know, it's just something, it'll be interesting to see how this movie does overseas. Because, you know, I know they always say like that trope about Black movies don't sell overseas, and it's not about the main cast being Black, because it's really not. It's just, this is an American movie, like a very American movie. It's just the main cast happens to be Black, but they could have just as easily followed the Friends family or another family or any, like, this is an American movie. So I'm interested to see how it does overseas, what people take away from that, because, you know, maybe these themes are more universal and not just, you know, Western sensibilities. But yeah, so I don't want to say any more here because I definitely don't want to give away any spoilers in the 10-minute take. So I'm going to go ahead and say, go see this movie in the theater. If you can catch it in the theater. Yeah, like Don said, you don't need IMAX, you don't need 3D, you don't need, I mean, obviously I don't think it's in 3D, but you don't need any of that other extra business. It's nice to see it with an audience. But it's definitely worth seeing. Don't worry about the twists, because it's not like a Shyamalan movie where if you know the twist at the end, you can go in knowing the twist because it's in the trailer and still get enjoyment out of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's our 10-minute take.
Yes.
Go see it. Just know the beginning is slow. It'll once it gets going though. So, you know, hang on. But
don't miss the beginning. Don't be in the line for popcorn. Miss the beginning.
Right. It's important. So
see it all.
Yes. So Don, tell them where they can find us.
You can find us tcadnetwork.com. That's the website that's got everything. It links to all of our podcast episodes. It links to all of our 10-minute take episodes. It links to Good Morning Antioch, as well as the reading. And it's also got some of the writings we're going to put in there. Basically, it's a one-stop shop for everything TCAD. That's where you got to go. That's where we want to see you. And that's where you will find our next podcast, which is also going to be about us, a bit more in depth, talking a little bit more about it. And
full of spoilers. We're going to talk about it all.
Oh, yeah. And just reveling in Jordan Peele-ness.
The minutiae and the Easter eggs and the details and what we pulled out of it and just all the stuff. That's going to be in the long show.
Yes.
This is just the TNT.
Yes. Go to the website. That's where you will find links to all that good stuff.
All right.
Bye.